Hey everyone, Rock DIY here. What I've got here is not just a Stanley toolbox. It is a Speedi-Bleed system. And this is considered the Pro version. And the Pro version comes with the toolbox. I didn't realize when I ordered it, it meant that it was going to come in a regular toolbox. I don't even know how much this costs. But the other thing that's different on it is the attachment that goes to the tire as far as how it connects. It's got a thumb lever on it. This one has a screw-on attachment for your tire. And so the reason why I bought this is not only for my cars, but I also help other people bleed their brakes. And if you've ever had to bleed brakes, you know that having to run back and forth, opening up the brake fluid fittings, this is supposed to make it easier. You won't have to have somebody pushing the brake pedal, nor do you have to push the brake pedal. This is supposed to eliminate that, but you're still going to have to go to each of the four corners of your car and open up the fitting to let air out. So this is what you get. And this one right here is called the K400 European Brake Bleeder Kit. It's 97 bucks. And when you order the kit, there's an adapter. And so when you purchase this, you have to identify the adapter that you want with this kit. And in my case, with different cars, I had to order the kit as a European kit for a Land Rover LR4. And then I needed another adapter that's specific to Toyota. So, and just so you're aware, they sell adapters for many cars. And also, if they don't have it, if you contact them, they may be able to help you out. So this company is out of British Columbia, up above Washington, the state of Washington. Unfortunately, when I purchased this, I paid $20 for shipping, and it took 14 days to get here. And I think just from British Columbia to Seattle, when I was tracking it, it sat in Seattle for 6 days before it even moved. And then it sat in Asheville, North Carolina for 2 days, and then I got it. So and that's not including the travel time from Seattle to Asheville, North Carolina. So without further ado, here's what you get. I'm gonna pull this out. Nothing special about the toolbox. It's got this metal piece in here, I guess, to help keep its form. So this is what you get. There's some instructions. There's printed instructions, and then there's some pictures. And the picture is almost kind of hard to see in here, but they also show different types of brake fluid reservoirs. This hose right here is pretty long, and you only need this hose to reach the closest tire, because you're going to use tire pressure to put pressure in here with brake fluid in it. And you're only going to put clean, new brake fluid in here. There is a minimum line. The bottle does have to stay upright the whole time. This hose right here, as I said, goes to a tire, because the tire is going to provide the pressure. You got a turn knob here, and that is how you're going to control how much pressure goes in the bottle. And normally 15 psi is good, and that you're never supposed to go above 40 psi, even though this gauge only goes to 30 psi. You want to be careful getting too close to 30, even though it supposedly won't have problems until it hits 40. The difference with this compared to the thumb type tire connector is this one here. You can turn on. the other one has the thumb type on it. There's that. Like I said, there's the bottle. Got a pretty good big gasket in the top of it. Cap fits pretty tight. Definitely want to make sure you tighten it all the way down. And then here is where you've got your connector for your adapter. And as I was saying, there is the European C400, and the way this is set up, it's very similar to the cap that's already on it for this one. They're not all the same. This one screws on, and then you connect it here. So that will go on top of the brake fluid reservoir, completely tightened down. You have to tighten this, put this on, then connect this hose. This will not swivel or turn once the hose is on it. This is the C400 European adapter, and this one is being specifically used for the Land Rover LR4. This one is the C800 Toyota version, and so this one is being specifically used for a 1997 Toyota Century V12, and this is specifically for a 42 millimeter opening on the brake fluid reservoir. So on this one, you put it on, and then you have to turn these butterfly nuts, and you can see right here where they turn and lock in on the bottle. And you want to hold this on when you turn these. Make sure it's open. Make sure they're all open. Put it on, hold it on, and then turn the wing nuts so that it locks on. Then connect that, and you're good to go. This one came with an extra O-ring. It almost seems like it's a little bit thicker. Maybe they intentionally sent a thicker one just in case. There you go. That is how the adapters go on. That's how you get the pressure. Verify the amount of pressure you're putting in. And oh, also, I didn't mention this, but there is this other hose, and this hose is specifically for bleeding or opening your the fitting on your brakes. So this will go over the nipple, and then the other end you should put into a bottle so that any brake fluid that comes out goes into that bottle. This does make it a little bit easier to bleed brakes, only because you don't need a second person, nor do you need to push the brake and open the fitting, close the fitting, and then let the brake up. This eliminates that part of it, but unfortunately you do still have to go and open it up to get the air out. And there you go. The total cost for all of this, including tax and shipping, they did give me a $6 off discount, but the total cost was $151.64 for all this and the toolbox. So the one thing I'm gonna be really interested when I use this is how well it's gonna hold up once brake fluid is on everything, because every time I've ever bought anything that's for hydraulic fluid, brake fluid, fuel, once you start using that stuff starts breaking down. So hopefully it doesn't do that to this. I mean, I can see maybe these O-rings going, but hopefully not. It looks like it's well put together. The next thing is I'll be using this first on the 1997 Toyota Century. I've got it up off the ground with the tires off, and just to make it easier on me. And there's a certain sequence you're supposed to go, but this vehicle is a right-hand drive as opposed to a left-hand drive. And but typically you always start with the furthest tire away and work your way to the closest as far as the bleeding sequence.
Got a 1997 Toyota Century V12 right-hand drive that I'm going to do some brake bleeding on because the brake pedal is very soft. So on this vehicle, being that it's right-hand drive, the bleeding sequence will be the left rear, right rear, left front, then right front, because brake fluid reservoir is on this side. So you go to your furthest one away to your closest one. And I will be using a Speedi-Bleed kit that I just got to do this job. So the kit basically takes the place of having another person sit inside the car and push the brake pedal down. You won't need that. What I've done is I've put the car up on jack stands just so I can take the tires off and do the bleeding at each of the wheels. Haven't taken the tires off yet, so there's the toolbox that it came in. This right here did not come with it. This hose did. And then you got the actual Speedi-Bleed bottle. You got the adapter. I got a rag. I've got my impact wrench or impact drill to remove the lug nuts. You got the brake fluid, and I am ready to go. So since I'm starting with the back wheels, I'm going to go ahead and take off the two rear wheels, set them aside, so that when I get ready to do this, I'll be able to start in the back. In order to get the Speedi-Bleed set up, first thing you got to do is make sure you fill the bottle to at least that line. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I don't know for sure how much this is going to require, but it did go quite a bit over the line. Next thing is you got to make sure that the bottle will stay upright the entire time, and you need to have it in a place where this hose here can reach the adapter. I already did it, but before you open up the reservoir, you want to make sure you wipe around it. Remove the cap. This is the adapter I'm using. It's a C800 Toyota adapter, and this is a 42 millimeter because that's the size of this filler neck here. What I'm going to do is take this. Well, before you put it on there, you may have to take a little bit of the brake fluid and rub it on this O-ring because it may be difficult to get on. You want to make sure these wing nuts are turned to the outside when you first put it on. Then once you have it on, just turn the wing nuts so that it locks it onto the filler neck. And then what you're going to do is put your quick disconnect on. Next thing I'm going to do is pressurize. And the way that I'm doing this is using this hose here. It will go onto the tire. Doesn't matter what tire, as long as it can reach. Before you connect it to the tire, just make sure this is off. Now you're going to have to move it back and forth until you get it to the pressure that you want it at. Okay, right now I am on 15, which is where it needs to be. Next step is to go to the furthest tire away. So what I've got here is a bottle with the hose going in it, and then I've got it hooked up here, and I've got a 10 millimeter wrench so that I can bleed this. Before you start, you definitely want to make sure you've got enough brake fluid in the reservoir as well. You can see the fluid slowly moving down. I don't see any air in it. Normally you're going to do this for about 10 to 15 seconds and then close it back up. Don't do like I did. I drilled the hole for the tubing, but I didn't put a relief hole. So make sure you put the relief hole, otherwise you're just providing back pressure and it's not going to bleed. Even when you just see it moving slow like this, it's actually bleeding. And there's like a thin line of fluid that's going into the bottom of the bottle. It just doesn't look like it's actually bleeding. See air bubbles popping up at the bottom of the bottle, but that's just air that's in the hose. One of the things you do want to do while you're doing this is constantly check your bottle to make sure you got enough fluid in it, and then also check your pressure.